All right. Welcome back to the Gooners Podcast. Harry Symeou. It's been a while.
It has. It's been ages. It feels like it's been ages, but great to see the work that you guys are doing. Amazing work, amazing cause. And I don't know how you do it for this long, Mike. I've got to take my hat off to you.
Look, man, you know, if there's something you enjoy doing, then you shouldn't want to stop. Right? I mean, you shouldn't want to stop unless there's a physical reason, like such as a release of something and then the need to regenerate that again, that you should actually stop. And with podcasting, there isn't that kind of thing. So I don't know why you stop your streams.
Also, there's nothing more powerful than a middle-aged man's ability to hide from his wife and children. That's another thing to keep a dude sitting on his fucking computer all evening.
Yeah, well, yeah, my wife is in Florida right now. To be fair, which I've heard more on this trip in Orlando. I mean, when you hang around Kaya Kynak and James McNicholas, you're going to hear "to be fair" like every two minutes.
The accent was spot on as well.
Yeah,
you're also going to hear the word "vibe" and "shot" a lot.
Shot was but yeah, I think.
I'm saying so I wasn't.
Who's that? Who do we got there?
I'm just in the studio at work, so there's other people on the other side of the room. Don't worry, I'll mute in between.
So, no, not a problem. We want the natural environs. We got, we got Simon Collins from a pub outside of Trafalgar Square getting manhandled by women, and we've been women handled. We assume it was his wife, but
we all have that problem.
Yeah, it's a curse I have to deal with. So Harry, where is work now? I mean, in the time that we've known each other, you have truly gone from podcaster to broadcaster. And it's been fun watching your ascendancy through the ranks of journalism. So give us a little bit of background on kind of what you're up to these days and what your day-to-day is like.
A bit of everything, to be honest with you. So at the moment, I'm at the 90 Min studio. We've just finished filming a show. So here today, working with 90 Min a few days a week, working with BBC Radio London as well, covering games now. Do a little bit of sort of commentary on some other stations as well. And then, of course, anything else that pops up in between the Chronicles of a Gooner podcast as well, which is my baby. So, yeah, a bit of everything. Trying to keep busy. I know that this job is a bit of a when it's something that you really love and you really enjoy, you kind of and you've gone from not having any work to being quite busy, you appreciate it. So you kind of just keep sort of taking what you can and keep sort of trying to make the most of every opportunity that comes your way. So yeah, touch wood, it's going really well and enjoying it. But yeah, it's busy and sometimes the home life suffers a bit, I have to say.
Yeah, well, you've got little ones at home as well, I believe. But you have, you're bringing home the bacon, as they say, from what you do, and that's been the joy of watching, you and Tom and just say this is what I want to do as a career. Whereas the two of us, Owen and me and Ashton, I mean we're just
idiots.
We're just idiots with a hobby.
No, you're not.
And you know what? See on that, Harry, I was just going to ask you, right? So obviously, if this is a snowballing effect, the Chronicles of a Gooner was the beginning. What's the end goal? Because obviously you dabble in written journalism, you dabble in commentary, sometimes online radio shows, video broadcasting. What's the end goal for you?
It's really hard to say because I don't think until you start actually doing things. Yeah, basically. I don't know because the goal that I had at the very beginning is not the same as it is now. So when I first started out, I thought I wanted to do writing. I thought that writing was right at the top of my list, and it isn't. I've come to find that it isn't. It's probably at the bottom of the list in terms of the things that I enjoy doing now. So I much prefer sort of doing discussion stuff. I much prefer video and audio content. I really enjoy
unlike Owen, you don't have a voice for writing. You have a voice for broadcasting. So.
I enjoy the commentary stuff, but I've also kind of fallen in love in the last sort of few with the reporting stuff, which I haven't done before. So I've been going to games and being the guy that they cut to for an update or when
Academy.
something happens. Yeah, and that's quite nice as well, because you get a bit of time
on
in between
camera
events.
or just audio.
No, just radio.
So like what's his name, the guy on Talk Sport, the Moose.
The Moose, yeah.
like that kind of thing. Like, oh, I'm here at Selhurst Park, and it's pissing down rain, and yeah, because obviously we don't get to hear that over here. So I should be more up on what you're up to. But
no, yeah, exactly that. But the nice thing about that is you don't have the pressure of trying to fill time. So when you're doing full commentary and there isn't anything happening, you need to find things to talk about. You need to keep the whole thing flowing. But with that, you kind of get the time you don't get much time to prepare. If a goal goes in, you've got 30 seconds, but just having that few seconds to kind of get your thoughts together about what you've just seen means that you can deliver something of a higher standard, I think, when they do cut to you. So I didn't really think I wanted to do that. I saw that as a way of hopefully breaking into further things that I wanted to do. But actually, I'm really enjoying that. I've only been doing it for 4 or 5 weeks, but I'm really enjoying it.
I mean, maybe the difference between, I'd say, potentially yourself and our good friend Tom is that you sort of dabble in a lot of different teams, doing a lot of different coverage for lower league football and stuff like that. Is it nice almost to have the opportunity to step away from Arsenal? Because as a lot of people are aware, you and your family are very embedded in an Arsenal, and sometimes I'm sure that would become overwhelming. Is it good to go away and have sort of an objective opinion on just a football game?
Yeah, I think you can enjoy games that you don't have any investment in. Essentially, like I went to Wimbledon at the weekend, AFC Wimbledon, and they played against.
I was like, mate, that ended weeks ago. You should have gone earlier, but
but you're there, and like you kind of like their story going into that game was they hadn't won a league game in 27. They'd been relegated from League One to League Two. You know, the fans were annoyed at the end of last season at how poor it was, and so you're at the game and you kind of there's a bit of anticipation because you're hoping that they do win because they get a big crowd for that level, and so you're kind of sitting there, and it's nice to pick up on different stories. And actually, when you go to the smaller clubs, you feel a lot more welcome as someone in the media or as a journalist. You know, they can't do enough for you. They are really welcoming, really accommodating. I mean, the press officer at Wimbledon, nicest guy in the world, rang me up on Friday night. A random number called me. I didn't know who it was. I answered the phone. He said, "It's Lawrence from AFC Wimbledon. I see you're joining us tomorrow. Just wanted to make sure that there's nothing specific that you need." I thought that's such a nice touch. You'd never get that at Arsenal. You'd never get that at the big club. So,
and what would you have asked for?
Me?
Yeah.
Guinness, a keg of Guinness. 20 cigarettes, and no, I'll not finish the rest. But look, here, one thing I wanted to do before Lee comes on, because he'll berate you over this, Harry, is something that I've seen you do is really champion the process and Mikel Arteta and stuff when it's been really shitty to have that position, and you've been on plenty of channels when things haven't been going well, and whilst this may be slightly premature, something that we touched on last night, and I'm sure the boys have touched on through the early hours, is the feeling around the club. It's been years since there's been this connection between the fan base and the club and the media. And how good is it now sort of to sit there with a smug smile thinking, I fucking told you, it's just wait.
It is premature to say it's worked. So I don't want to go that far. But I think for me, like
we've won the double already in the preseason.
Yeah, I mean, we've already won the Premier League by 19 points. But for me, I think it was not so much that I trusted in every decision that they've made. I don't think you can ever be in that position where you wholeheartedly agree with every single decision. But I think you can get to a point where you recognize that actually this is a shit show that he's taken over, and there's so many moving parts to it and so many things wrong. If you don't sort of accept that it's going to take time, you'll just end up being pissed off every week. And who wants to spend their spare time going to watch something that they know is going to piss them off? Like, if you don't go to a game hoping to win or thinking that you can win or backing the boys or whatever, what's the point? And I think maybe that's because I've changed jobs, and in changing jobs and changing careers, it's made me realize that I can't switch off from football and I can't switch off from Arsenal. So why would I want my experience to be negative and draining all of the time? Like, why do I want to be around outrage all the time and
look what he's done?
Exactly.
Look what he's put us at the top.
That's exactly it. Technically, it's AFC Bournemouth. So really,
I know we don't allow that though. We've changed the name of the club so that won't be the case. Well, then we'll be AEC Arsenal.
Fucking Harry Symeou and his negativity, he takes it everywhere.
But yeah, no, it's just that. Like, I think I recognised what a big job it was to turn it around. I actually think the Unai Emery era set us back even further. Because not just because of him personally, but because we made bad signings. We brought players in that didn't want to be at the club. I mean, look at Lucas Torreira. How quickly did he kind of make it clear he wasn't happy? He's a prime example of one of the players we invested the most in during that period. So just everything was wrong. And we had to take some steps back before we could move forward. And unfortunately, you have to go through some pain at times. You know, football works in cycles. And yeah, I think like I go to Arsenal now optimistic, positive. I feel connected to the team again, and I think that Mikel Arteta has been massive in that. And I think that you've got to give him the time to continue this thing. We've got to get in the Champions League next season. If we don't, I think it's fair to ask questions. Okay, and I've got no problem with that. But like, there's a lot of people out there online, especially, and I know online isn't always the clearest barometer of the fans' feelings generally, but there are just people that are literally like, they would moan that Mikel Arteta wore the wrong cardigan to a game. Like they're just looking for any little thing, and it drives me crazy. Like, they're just hindsight merchants.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah. Asking
hindsight merchants. I love that. That's
yeah. That's do
you know, I love anything in front of merchants. You know,
Highbury Squad has their squaddies, and TGT has their flam fish gang. And can we have our hindsight merchants? Is that what we can call our list?
Well, yeah, we're taking that.
Copyright. You can have it.
It was said on this show. It is now the property of the Gooners Podcast Inc.
HSM for short.
Yeah.
No, but what I was going to say, Aston, was obviously the signings so far have been good. As we mentioned there, is it premature now to get too excited? Is it still a case of there's a lot of work left to do before the closing of the window? And if we fall short of making signings, say in central midfield and a right forward, is this window still potentially a failure?
I don't think so. I don't think so, because I think as football fans, we're always looking for the shiny new toy. Like, we're always looking for something new. And the reality is that a lot of the players that we signed last summer have got a season under their belts now at Arsenal and are going to be at a point where they can push on, hopefully, to a higher level. So, you know, Bukayo Saka was incredible last season, just tailed off a little bit at the back end of the season, maybe due to burnout, maybe due to inexperience of how to handle those situations. Well, now, you know, you're hoping it'll be better this season. Martinelli, I think, is someone that we can really look out for this season. You know, the addition of Gabriel Jesus is not just the addition of a striker; it's the addition of a winner, of the right character. It's so much more complex than that. And then, you know, you look at some of the younger players that I've mentioned. You know, I'm sorry that I haven't mentioned. Look, the Martin Odegaard, he's still relatively young as well. That was his first full season in the Premier League. Gabriel's getting better. Ben White's had a season under his belt. I think you should be as excited about the progress of the players we've got as much as you are about the shiny new toys. And, you know, we're not Manchester City. We're never going to be able to go out and spend, under this ownership, under this operating model, crazy amounts of money every single year. People keep saying Arsenal the biggest spenders in the last couple of summers. Yeah, but it's all relative. Yeah. Relative to how much work needed to be done, i.e. we had to move a lot of players out and bring a lot of players in. And actually last summer, I haven't done it yet for this summer, but last summer, when I averaged out what we'd spent on each player, so the number of signings, you know, and that divided by the amount we'd spent, we'd only spent about £25 million on average per player, which this day and age is not a crazy amount of money. So,
but that's quite good, because it's like a low risk investment scheme. Like I always say, like, it's only recently Man City have started spending big on one individual player, whereas it was always the 50 million-ish because it was a low, 50 million still a lot of money, but in context it's relatively low risk. But asking, coming to you, you're the only person that we're aware of from the fan base of the media who got to actually spend some time in a room with the Cronkies, and with the success they have had stateside with their franchises over there. Maybe you're the best person to reiterate what they were transmitting, what their intentions are with Arsenal Football Club, and where their aspirations lie. What was your gauge of what did you feel when you were in the room with them, what their ambitions were, and do you think it'll live up to that of the fan bases?
This is one of the ones where I have to insert foot into my mouth, because I think I've even been on this show. I was writing poetry to, the tune of "This would be a great day for the Cronkies to get out," and I thought that was a lot about from their lack of care or understanding for the nature of football or the nature of the institution that is Arsenal. Now, I don't want to sit here and sing all their praises and play some revisionist history. But what I can tell you is Stan Kroenke, when Josh would do the talking and Stan would kind of interrupt when it was I'm going to say the most important thing. And Stan openly interrupted multiple times to point out, one, he wants to win the Champions League. He said that before he even was aware that I was.
You have to either back me up or tell me that I'm crazy, because I think it was Arsblog a few hours ago that I was relating that story to him, and saying that he was like, I gotta go get me one of them Champions League type things, like wasn't it? Or something about I'm buying you all a steak.
He didn't say it. He didn't quite say it like that, even though he does have one hell of a country accent. That dude is from Texarkana somewhere, okay?
He's from Missouri, is where he's from.
He definitely said in the bougie, he's like, we get it, I'll finally be able to take you guys all out if we get a Champions League. That's what I really want. He kind of talked about it like that. And
taking you to Sizzler.
Yeah, and the thing that really, really struck me was, again, their awareness of their failures, and their reasoning for those failures, mainly being that Stan interrupted. He goes, listen, I couldn't put money in the club until I could stop looking over my shoulder. That was a direct quote from Stan.
That just won me about 84 different arguments that I've had about this. I was about to do a 2-hour Magic Mike shows you the money thing about the difference between full ownership and other ownership, and you have that quote from him, and I'll take you at your word for that. That doesn't sound like something he would say, but
he said that he just didn't want to. He's like, we were always looking over our shoulder, and the thing that when you come down to it, and this is the thing that I wish fans had patience for. I know that football is an immediate thing. We want immediate gratification. We want immediate results. But the reality is the mess that we were in, the 30 or so players we've let go at this point, how much do you expect them to do in a single window? If you're setting the bar at they need to fix the entire club in one window, then yeah, this transfer window is probably a disaster to you. Right. But if your bar is we need to start moving in the right direction, clearing out, and we have a reasonable expectation they're spending over $100 million in 2 transfer windows in a row. At what point do we go okay, he's not going to spend 250 in this window? Those are the things that kind of frustrate me when we start talking about the process and being really honest about it. I think honestly, we can all see the holes that exist in the team, but do you really expect us to do a 1 through 11 overhaul, then an 11 through 22 overhaul with, world-class players in every position in one season? What does that even look like? We're not going to... I just don't understand, and that's where I think the frustration is. I think Stan is very aware, and I think that when we talked about the different championships that they want, because I brought that up, I'm like, it seems like you guys are collecting a lot of trophies. They made it very apparent that their biggest goal is for us to win their trophy, that we're the crowning jewel of his empire, and whether that be how I like Arsenal being seen by a single individual ever is up in the air, but sometimes greed is good. It can work in our favor.
Well, the Denver Nuggets and his professional gaming team are not going to love hearing that Arsenal's next, but hey, we're next.
But Harry, hearing that from well, not so much the horse's mouth, but very close to it. How does that make you feel as someone who's been patient, who's someone who is sort of trusting the way that things are going with the trajectory that the club is going, in terms of better signings, better appointments, better connection to the fan base, and as Aston said, better spending over the last 2 seasons. And now hearing that, does that give you some confidence that KSE as an ownership are adamant on returning Arsenal back up to that status that they previously held?
I think they've still got a lot of proving to do. I think they've still got a lot of goodwill to win from the fans. I think when I've been patient, but I know they're not flawless. I know they're not faultless. And my criticism of them has often been, rather than they haven't spent enough money, it's always been they're not present enough. They're not. I need someone that takes charge of this club to be 100% in, because this is such a huge football club. Right. I'm not a massive follower of American football, but I'm sure that when the LA Rams go around the world in the way Arsenal do, they don't have the same following across the globe in the way that Arsenal do. And so they have to accept and acknowledge that this is the jewel in their portfolio. And so for me, they've got to treat it like that. And as I say, my issue with them has never been about money. It's been about the fact that, where are you, kind of thing,
Do you think potentially, Harry, that Super League thing, because I know it's a big thing to remove, but if you're talking about if you remove that,
other than the play, Mrs. Lincoln, how was your evening?
it's actually, but I can have some form of sympathy for an uneducated misjudgment. We all sit here and talk about. No, but Mike, we can't sit here all the time and say, "Oh, we don't like cancel culture." That there should always be a path to redemption for somebody. We can't sit and preach that and then tarnish people because of one stupid decision. And
I agree.
Maybe that stupid decision was the catalyst for them to start putting their hands in their pockets and paying more attention. So if you remove that from it, have they really been that bad?
I make stupid decisions every day, so I won't hold them.
Yeah, me both.
I won't hold them accountable for that forever. But I do think it almost worked to our favor in that it kind of gave them a kick up the backside as to how different they view things to maybe the fan base. And I was at that protest at Emirates Stadium. I went down there to cover it, and when I turned around the corner, when I came out of that tunnel that leads towards the Tollington pub on Tollington Way,
on Hornsey Road,
on Hornsey Road, that's it, the one I mean. When the minute I came out of that tunnel and I looked to my left and I saw tens of thousands of people there, I thought, wow, this is what it needed. And I'm not saying that I agree with some of the comments that were being made about them personally, or some of the banners or anything like that, but
or the burning American flags,
or the burning of flags or anything like that. But
not that I'm bitter.
But the point
I can state that I can hold nobody accountable for burning of flags as someone from the north of Ireland.
I was going to say, burning a flag is a Tuesday around here. Okay,
it wasn't a flag, but anyway.
The point I'm making is that I didn't agree with a lot of the personal insults and attacks, but ultimately I think that needed to happen. Sometimes even in a relationship, you can keep things bottled up, and there comes an explosion point that produces a really bad argument, but it needed to happen so that you could move past what was bugging you. And I think that was the case with them. I agree with the point about them not spending money before and being reluctant because of the tug of war that was happening at the football club involving Usmanov and some of the other people in there as well. So I get all of that. But again, I feel like now there's a line into them. I feel like they're more engaged. I feel like they're more visible. And all of those things I think are so important as a fan, in order to feel that your club is being taken in the right direction and being led by someone who deserves the opportunity to lead it. So yeah, I'm feeling better about it, but still got lots to do.
What I would love to see them come out and do, in addition to going to Maria's funeral, and I mean Josh directly, not an emissary, but what I would love to see them do, and you might have kind of indirectly heard this, Aston, when you were with them, but I would love an introspective admission from them that when they bought the club, And even years after they bought the club, they did not quite fully understand what they had. I don't think there's any shame in coming out and saying, you know what, we initially looked at this as one of the greatest sporting assets of all time. We probably made the mistake of looking at it too much like a business. We made decisions that were based on trying to grow on a positive trajectory to try to build Arsenal as a bigger and bigger club. But it has become apparent to us as we've gone along that there is much more to it than that. And we are, evolving as owners. I mean, could you not just get a bit of your foot back in the door with certain people who have already made their decision about you? If you say, you know what, we've made some mistakes, we understand, and we're gonna put our money where, not just our money, but we're gonna, figuratively speaking, put our actions where our understanding is, and treat this more like the Arsenal Football Club that we all grew up in.
So here's my question for you, Mike, because on exactly what you're saying, this is where we get into these weird sticky situations, right? Because at the end of the day, the Cronkies are billionaires. And the way that they behave and the way that they talk, I don't think you're ever going to get an admission.
No, they're not conditioned to do that, which is why I think it would be so meaningful if they did.
I agree. Would you be satisfied if they said something along the lines of, we didn't realize how large the club was when we got in? Not saying that we made a mistake or we ran it like a business. Would that be, because this is kind of where I'm sitting, because I agree with everyone here, by the way. I don't want anybody here to think I'm a Kroenke stan, for sure. I think that right now you have to consider,
which is a difference of the
fucking dude took one prawn sandwich off stand and now he's a fucking lawyer.
No. I'm just saying, because it's much like Arsenal right now and Mikel Arteta, right? At the end of the day, I trust the process and I really believe in what I'm seeing, but I'm aware that they have tests that they have to pass over and over again. And it's only once they pass all those tests that I'm willing to go, okay, I'm all in. I trust you. I believe in you. And I think we're in the same position with the Cronkies. I feel like after the Sven Mislintat, Rouse and Nahi war that happened within the club and stuff, I think we've been watching them kind of pass small tests. What they said to me was, Josh said 80% of his conversation with Mikel Arteta was about culture, like fixing the culture at the club. What sort of things, outside of, again, a blatant admission of wrongdoing, what sort of tests do you want to see them pass as a fan, that we can set some account like goals for them? Because I think that it is true. I think that in order for us to celebrate them, we need to see more from them. But I'm not sure what it is I want to see.
Harry, what would you say?
I was just going to say, just to caveat that as well, was that obviously the Amazon Prime documentary is coming out on Thursday. Josh Kroenke seems to be the front and center man for KSE in terms of facing up to the media. Do you expect, maybe what Austin was saying there about, transmitting some messages? Are you expecting Josh Kroenke to be playing some sort of pivotal part in that documentary series?
Yeah, I do.
Have you seen the first three, like most journalists?
No, I haven't. I
Okay.
haven't.
I know the media day attendees have seen the first three.
Yeah,
Apparently
yeah.
The third one's amazing.
I know a lot. I know some people have seen it. Yeah, and I've spoken to a few people that have seen it, and I know that he does play quite a big part in it. I think, from what I know of the Amazon documentaries, and I've spoken to someone who is heavily involved with the Spurs one. The club have a lot of editorial control, if not all the editorial control on that. And so it is a great way of getting out the messages that you want. So I'm expecting that. But listen, every big corporation has a PR arm. That's what people do. We shouldn't be sitting there going, oh, it's just PR. Well, so is every other company or business that you support in one way, shape or another. So I'm not too bothered about that. There will be some PR in there, but I know it's coming, so I'm not going to sit there and get annoyed about it.
The burgers at McDonald's do not actually look like that when you actually go to McDonald's.
Yeah, exactly. But going back to the point about, could they come out and maybe say, we didn't realize what we had, and, maybe we didn't realize the status of the football club and how important it was, and all of that stuff.
The wrong words, but the sentiment is
yeah. I think a lot of people would say, okay, fair enough. But I just think a lot of, not Arsenal fans, but fans in general, are not mature enough to process a proper admission or a detailed statement like that. They take one line. Because of the nature of media these days, they pick up one line from it and go, "Get this guy out. He doesn't care. Doesn't know what he's doing."
It's like the "I didn't buy Arsenal to win trophies" thing, which was an article written by James Benge, who was joining us a few hours ago. But I think he would admit might have taken those those comments completely 180 degrees out of context. So yeah, I mean, sorry, Harry, but yeah, I mean, it would be latched onto as, Hoggy, for example, love the man. He would say, I knew that they weren't ready. This is a sign that they should get rid. And for me, it would be like, this is a sign of emotional maturity as ownerships and the willpower to make everything different. I'd be very excited by something.
But it's just like it's the culture of today, which is that, like, TripAdvisor, for example, you might go on and there's shitloads of bad reviews, but that's because the majority of people that enjoy themselves and had a decent experience don't go on and leave reviews. The minority is louder than the majority a lot of the times nowadays. And I just think it's the fact that that's what gains traction. That's what gains clicks and engagement and likes and whatever you want to say. But yeah, going back to the Amazon documentary, Harry, do you think that potentially that could have been something to hinder, or do you think that could have been something to help? Do you think that we could maybe see a pressure valve being released off the players this season because they hadn't got it? Or do you just think it doesn't make too much of a fucking difference?
I think I'm very much of the belief that if you understand something, whether you agree with it or not, if you understand something, you can respect it more. So naturally, if I understand something, I will back off with my criticism. I'll still be critical, but I will try and see both sides of the coin, if that makes sense. And I think the Amazon doc hopefully will allow us to do that, will allow us to see some of the issues that happen behind the scenes. I know they'll all be sanitized, etc., but you'd get a better idea of how certain things went down. And I just think that, if you can kind of see the work being done behind the scenes is the right type of work and you buy into that, then I think naturally that changes the way you view the club. I mean, look, let's use Lee Judges as an example, because I know he's going to be on in a minute. The flip-flop himself, as he's been named, right? So
it's a nice flip-flop, though.
I love him. I absolutely love him. But I guarantee you won't hear, and I'll say this to Lee, you won't hear Lee be as angry in his criticism of Edu now that he's met him. Because when you meet someone and you understand the human side, your mindset changes. And I think that the doc will give us the opportunity to understand the mindsets and the characters of some of the people that we're so very quick to criticize on a weekly basis.
Aston's maybe somebody, even before we take in our next guest, I'll jump onto this. Well, you take him in anyway, for fuck's sake.
Sorry.
Here, Michael. No, I'm just joking.
We're normally completely in line with each other, but Danny Potts, welcome back to the pod. That's your intro. We're all talking about how much we trust the process, and
it's actually interesting because I really want Dan's input on this, because I think that he's very vocal and has a very astute opinion on this subject. Actually,
we were just talking there, Dan, about how good KSE have been over this past 2 years. What's your thoughts?
I'm going to go now.
I'm sure you've got the best guest on, Harry.
I love you, really, man.
He's going to tell you how great everything is and how it's all rosy. And even though this guy last night predicted that Tottenham are going to win a trophy this season, but I'm the negative one apparently.
Yeah, I did hear about that. That was
nah.
Hold on. You've been flirting with their manager all of last season, telling us that he's great and we should have got him and all this.
I still stand by it, mate. He's elite. He's elite.
So
would you sack Arteta and hire Conte today if it was available to you?
100%, I would. Of course, I would. Conte is a winner. Arteta, I don't see what everyone else does yet. It could change. I can change my opinion. 100%, I could. But what makes me laugh is it's always this: if he wins, if he does this, would you change your mind? If he does it, just do it, and then I will. Stop saying if. I hate this. What if? what if Arsenal for years have been a what if club, haven't they? What if Eduardo didn't break his leg in 2008? Arsenal might have won the league. What if Leicester didn't turn up that fluke season? We come second. We would have won. Just do it. Stop saying what if. What if we never moved to the Emirates? What if David Dean never left? What if Henri wouldn't have gone through and didn't miss that 1-on-1 in the Champions League final? How many times have we heard these what ifs? Just do it and then we can celebrate it. Because I get this all the time. Dan's really toxic because he wants Arteta. He doesn't believe in Arteta. What if he wins a trophy? That will just shut him up. He's already won a trophy. Yeah, he's already won a trophy. Doesn't mean anything, does it?
So Dan, are you optimistic going into the new season then?
Sorry, Owen, say that again, bro.
Are you optimistic going into the new season then?
Funny enough, for all of my rant for the last 30 seconds, Harry does this to me. I actually am fairly optimistic. I think it was the best pre-season I can remember in a long time. I really like the first 11. I think they're a really good side, and I don't think that there's any excuses as to us getting off to a good start now. What I will say is that I don't believe the plan B is as good as the plan A, and I think the B team proved that in pre-season that they're just not up to it. They're just not good enough, and they need to be replaced in some places, in some areas, or if they're not replaced, at least upgraded, and we keep them as backup. That's my honest opinion, Owen. And I look into it now, and I think that if that first 11 was up against some of the other competitors for the top 4, I think 5 or 6 of those players would walk into them first 11. And I'm talking about the Chelseas, the Manchester Uniteds and the Spurs. I'm not talking about Cities and Liverpools. And I believe they're the 3 that we're going for top 4. So I think that this team should be getting top 4. I believe that the elite managers that are currently in the Premier League would have this team in the top 4. And I stand by that. And Mikel Arteta, I think, is running out of excuses if we don't get Champions League football this season. And I think that's just facts for me.
What if we don't get Champions League football?
What if? What if
Lee Judges got an invite to Edu's barbecue?
Judges,
how in depth is this relationship getting with Edu?
Well, we get on. You know what I mean? So
have you texted each other since the big hug in Orlando?
Listen, there has been contact. There was contact.
You are the ultimate schmoozer, my friend.
I can't the ultimate thing is to get invited to a barbecue. I'm not going to lie, and hopefully he does a burger, not like Harry's. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying. So
you've got a lot to learn, man. I tell you, Eddie will not do a burger, man.
Harry does not have a burger at his barbecue. I think it's
a waste of charcoal. It's a waste of charcoal, genuinely.
I don't even know where to go from there. I've been up for four straight days or whatever it is, and we've got this panel on. Oh, do you have any more of your games? Because I think the last time we had this crew on last year, we played like a game that took a lot of preparation.
I've got more categories.
Yeah, let's do this
of that same game, right, lads?
And we have a hard stop with this crew to invite in our next guest at 4 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
So
I've got a hard fuck off at 4 p.m. too, so that works for me. Lads, what we're doing was a game called the best of and the worst of. Mike, do you want to do your jingle again there for us?
No.
Okay. So
just hit a bell. Just hit a bell. That's what you normally do.
That was the jingle.
That was the jingle.
The jingle was like.
So I'll go around the lads at the bottom here because I don't want you to miss out on some of the good categories. So what I'm going to do is throw out a category. So, for example, your favorite player of all time and your least favorite player of all time. They don't have to be related specifically to Arsenal. There'll be some categories that you're not allowed to choose anything related to Arsenal. So we'll start with you, judges. Your favorite player of all time, and then your least favorite player of all time.
Favorite ever player.
Oh, I know his favorite player. Can I guess?
Go on.
Charlie Nicholas.
Charlie Nicholas is my favourite ever Arsenal player, but my favourite player, one of my favourite ever players, I don't know if people remember, was a Brazilian called Zico. I growing up in the World Cup, my first real World Cup memory was, I do remember Argentina in '78, but the first real World Cup for me was '82, and they had the Brazilian side there was like unbelievable. Aaron never won the World Cup, I never know, but I had a player called Zico, so he's very, very much up there. Most horriblest player. Do you know what? I don't hate him as much. No, now as what I did. But I could not stand Dele Alli. You know what I mean? Like when he was I just sung about Dele Alli. I just had a real big beef with him, like, you know.
Horrible.
But I don't hate him so much now that he's not so good. So I think it may be because he was pretty good for Tottenham for a couple of years. Maybe him, but that would be the two that I would go for.
Dan?
Okay, I thought this was Arsenal related. If it's football related, that's a different set of questions for me. So I would say my favourite Arsenal player is Eoin Wright. Everyone knows that. My favourite footballer is Lionel Messi. And the ones that I can't stand for Arsenal, Shkodran Mustafi. God, that guy, Jesus Christ, it's just a madness how bad that guy was. And I'm going to say this, I find myself agreeing with Lee quite a lot lately. And I'm going to totally agree with him. I don't know what it is about Dele Alli, but I never thought he was great. I always thought he was overhyped, and he's proved to be now because he's just hopeless now. But when he was in and around that Tottenham side under Poch that were apparently the most successful Tottenham team that actually didn't win anything, I couldn't stand Dele Alli. I actually could not stand him. Everything about the player, everything about his mentality on and off the pitch. I can't think of a Spurs player, and there's loads that I hate, that I've hated more than him, to be fair. Because at least I can respect Harry Kane and Teddy Sheringham because they're quality players. Do you know what I mean?
I'm telling you,
Dele Alli was just a horrible...
Wait for the first North London derby of this season, and Richarlison is going to be the next cunt to come out of Spurs.
Good shout. Good shout.
In there in the cuntum.
He's a horrible little bastard. I've never seen a fucking player shoot a club more in my life.
Yeah, do you know what? That's a great shout.
Lamella's a good shout as well. Someone's just put it there. Lamella, I'll go along with that one as well. Saying about him.
They look like Mustafi. Get fucked. Harry.
Favorite ever Arsenal one is going to be Thierry Henry. Favorite ever though is Diego Maradona for me. Just pure superstar. And then worst ever is, or the ones that I like the least. I can't get away from that Man United team at the height of our rivalry, sort of under Wenger. I just can't. The way I felt during that period of time, like I don't think anything's come close in terms of that rivalry. So I'm going to go with Gary Neville.
Van Nistelrooy, man.
Van Nistelrooy, yeah, it has to be Van Nistelrooy for that era for me.
I'm going to
without a doubt.
I'm going to go Gary Neville because I think with Gary Neville, right, it's almost because he's become a pundit and he's quite a good pundit, and you know he speaks out on a lot of good causes. People have almost forgotten what he was like on a football pitch. And that drives me mad. It drives me mad. The way he used to kick people off the park.
Do you not think, though, Harry, that we used to get one over Gary Neville and we never could after Van Nistelrooy, Roy Keane? Sometimes we used to fail. I think with Gary Neville, it was just a bit like he's a good player. Don't get me wrong. I've got nothing against his quality. I think he was probably the best right back in the Premier League in terms of history. But I look at him and I don't look at Gary Neville and think, he's done it again, Gary Neville. He's got one over us again. Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean. But for me, I like underneath the kind of the hatred that I felt at the time towards Keane and Van Nistelrooy, there was a bit of respect because of how good they were.
That's the thing.
But with Gary Neville, like I'm not saying he wasn't good. I think he was good, and I probably shouldn't say this because I might get in trouble. But there's something about like this Gary Neville. That's not Gary Neville. Like the one that we see now, it's not Gary Neville.
Do you feel a little bit more with when they become pundits? You see him a different side. Like, I couldn't stand Roy Keane when he played. I couldn't stand Rio Ferdinand. God, I hated Rio Ferdinand. But since they've become pundits, they've sort of won me over a little bit more, if you know what I mean.
Roy Keane's my favourite pundit.
One of my favourite sort of players.
Yeah. Like, it's not even close for me. Like, he's so good.
Yeah, it does. It does change.
In respect because they're being real and they're giving their opinion, which is based on you may not have liked him as a player, but who's better positioned to talk about what he's there to talk about than them.
Well, you say that Gary Neville
See, Neville was always like that little whippet at school that was an absolute wiener, but his brothers were hard as fuck, so you couldn't really say much because you knew you get a hiding from them boys. But he was the same. Like that whole shit with Vieira and with Keane and Vieira in the tunnel all started because Gary Neville was being a little weasel. But moving on, lads.
Let me quickly take a detour because I want to make sure that we get everybody's top 4, bottom 3.
Go for it.
And surprise pick before we hit the top of the hour, and then we'll get back to whatever time we have left. Top 4 teams in order, bottom 3, and your surprise pick. It could be any football related prediction that wouldn't necessarily be considered that likely to happen, but you think will happen. So, like for my surprise pick was that Dan Potts will pick Arsenal in the top 6. Lee, we'll start with you. Top 4.
Top 4, Man City first, Liverpool second, Tottenham third, Arsenal fourth. My surprise thing is that Dan Potts will be singing the Mikel Arteta song at the end of the season, though, you know.
Dan Potts sings. Dan Potts singing anything, I think, would be.
So for Mikel, he's going to be singing it like, you know what I mean? I've got a feeling like, you know.
Is he going to be going like this while he sings it?
It could be a drunken night out, but I do believe it. I think
we will be singing that together at Old Trafford on the 4th of September.
I think honestly that people are going to change their mind about Mikel this season.
I agree with you, but do you really think Dan's going to sing Mikel's name with Tottenham finishing above us?
That's a good point, Austin. That's a good point.
Well done, Aston.
Aston
knows me well.
But I think that maybe Arsenal. I think it's going to be close between Arsenal and Spurs this season. I just think at this moment in time, Spurs just maybe done a slightly bit better than us, but there's still plenty of time in the transfer window to change that. And I think that we could actually come above Spurs this season, but I'm not.
The good thing, Lee, is with
finishing the season there.
Yeah, but the thing is with Spurs, this is them at the apex of what they can do. You know, these are short-term signings with a short-term manager, and this is the best they're going to get. While ours is just the start of a.
Yeah,
I will admit they could potentially finish ahead of us this season. I don't think that they will, but I will tell you that if you ask me over the next 5 seasons who's going to finish ahead more, I would say it's either going to be us 3 times or 4 times.
We've got some exciting times ahead. I do think with the youngsters, you know, I mean, if we can get Saka signed up to another deal, Martinelli is going to, I think, go through the roof within the next season or so. Jesus, by the way, guys, we've been fortunate enough to see him out in America. I'm telling you, I've been more than impressed seeing him like live. I have to say, I've been shocked. If I'll be honest, how good he's impressed me so much. I didn't think he was going to be as this good. I'll be honest. I did. I've been blown away by him, really. I tell you, like, and I'm sure you guys will do when you see him on Friday night.
Yeah, Harry. I mean, he's this good player that we got from Manchester City. He's really blowing up right now, and I can't wait for you to get to see him live. Your 3 relegated teams, Lee.
I'm going to go. I don't really want to put I don't really want to put Bournemouth and Fulham in it, but I certainly don't want to put Fulham in it now that Leno's gone there. Unfortunately, I think Bournemouth are going to be pushing against it really, like, you know. So I'm going to go Bournemouth, Fulham, and my little surprise one is, I mean, Harry, we were talking about this yesterday, and I just worry for them. And I'm not saying that I'm worried. I don't like going to their ground neither. Is Southampton.
I knew you were going to say that. Yeah, we got a lot of Southamptons in this exercise here. And is your surprise prediction in football really that Dan Potts sings the Mikel Arteta?
No, do you know what my surprise is going to be? I've got a real worry for Leicester this season. I think Leicester are going to really struggle this season.
You're not. There's about 3 or 4 of those, and then one. Leicester's going to be good from James Bayless.
And I just think that maybe with Leicester,
like the whole. I agree with the Leicester just possibly flirting with relegation this season. And Brendan Rodgers, you know, we've had some of these debates. I think Dan and I came out on the opposite side of this debate as well. Brendan Rodgers has never been a good manager. He has one talent, and that is rallying up players to play a little bit above their station, and once that runs its course, he's shit. And I think Leicester Leicester better get rid.
Just say how it is, Mike.
There it is. I quite like Brendan Rodgers as a manager, but I think
I think he's a nut.
I think that he's got a difficult job here, because I think somewhere along the line they need to be revamped, Leicester, and it's very, very hard to replace the players that he's replacing. For instance, Vardy now. Where are you going to get another Vardy from? You know what I mean? It's very, very difficult.
Fleetwood Town.
Well, looks like they're getting rid of all their players as well. Kasper Schmeichel's gone. Fofana looks like he's going to Chelsea. Tielemans hopefully will come to Arsenal. Madison looks like he's off to Newcastle.
Years, there's
mad.
no
You can't get rid of all them.
You know, there's no like bunches of Soyunchus and Tielemans that are coming through to replace these guys. And that's what's going to hurt them.
That's a shock. That what's that? Can anybody put a little bit of light onto what's going on at Nice? Sort of like signing some big guns, aren't they? Really, like, you know.
Aaron Ramsey
investment. But listen, I still think Ramsey's a good player, but you know, not for the Premier League.
Don't get Aston started. All right, Harry, your top four, bottom three, and your mega millions pick.
So top four: Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal.
Okay.
I've changed this because yesterday on another show, not the one that we did with the guys, but on one I did earlier in the day, I put Spurs in my top four, and then I looked at Chelsea's squad again. I thought, what am I doing? They've got a top manager, they've got top players, they're probably still going to bring in more top players, and I think they're being written off too quickly. So Chelsea are in my top four. Bottom three, I've gone Bournemouth, Fulham, and Brentford. I think Brentford could potentially have a difficult season. And then my surprise pick, I think Aston Villa are going to flop. I think they're a side that are under a lot of pressure because there's been investment. You know, Steven Gerrard came in as the Messiah, didn't really do all that well last season, but you gave him the benefit of the doubt because he was still new in the door. I think over the course of the season, he's going to come under quite a bit of pressure. There's been a lot of money spent. It's a big football club as well. And I've been speaking to some Villa fans in some work I've been doing who tell me that nothing less than an 8th place finish is good enough. And I don't think that that's achievable for Villa. So
is that the flop, or is the flop like dangerously like 14th, 15th type of?
Yeah, I think that they could end up sort of 14th, 15th. I'm not saying they'll get relegated. I think they've got too much quality in the squad, but relative to what people think they can achieve, given the squad they've put together and the money they've spent, I don't think they're going to live up to that hype.
Well, they haven't lived up to any hype ever since they offered us £20 million for ESR or whatever the bullshit offer was. Dan, let's get your top four, your bottom three, and your surprise pick, which is I will not spill wine on anyone's mother this year.
So top four for me, I think Man City are going to win the league. I think Liverpool come close again in second. I think Conte will take Spurs to third, and I think Chelsea will be fourth.
We almost got through the entire 27 hours without anyone having Arsenal outside the top four. You are the first person to not have Arsenal in the top four.
You picked the right man for the job, Mike.
I heard you called me up and I said, yeah.
I figured this is where the streak would end. But I asked one question then that I haven't had to ask anybody yet, which is, where does Arsenal finish?
I think we'll get fifth. I think it'll be the closest top four race in a long time. I really do. And I think United are in there as well. I think we'll finish just ahead of United in fifth. That's my prediction. They'll come sixth. I think West Ham will be too far away. I think they look like they've made some good business, but I still don't see it. So for me, that's what I'll go for. I of course hope I'm wrong, and I hope that we can be the best of the rest in third. But I don't have the confidence yet to believe that we have a squad strong enough. And I don't believe that the manager has proved to me that he has enough to get us into best of the rest in third place whilst we're in all four competitions again this season. So hopefully I'm proven wrong. In terms of my relegation picks, Bournemouth, I think, are going to really struggle. I've gone for them in 20th. I think Fulham will be the next to go down. And one to shock you, the only reason they stayed up was because of someone who's now gone to Tottenham. So I'm going to for Everton to go down. I think they've had a relegation transfer window. I think buying McNeil and Tarkowski is going to do nothing for them at all. McNeil scored 7 goals in 6 seasons, is it? 5 seasons? Can't see him doing much. James Tarkowski's a good defender, but I think his time's pretty much kind of done. And I don't think that Everton have got enough quality, in my opinion, to stay up. So it was between Leeds and Everton for me, and I've gone because I think Leeds are going to struggle now. They've got rid of Phillips and Rafinha, but I've gone for Everton because I think Leeds have at least done something in the window. Everton for me haven't impressed me, so I think they'll struggle. And as for the kind of surprise, I've gone for more of a positive one as opposed to the guys who they think's not going to do well. I've gone for a team that I do think are going to do well, and that's Nottingham Forest. I fancy Forest to do really well. I think the fan base are going to absolutely love it in a similar way that Sheffield United did when they got back up. I think Nottingham Forest and Leeds.
Top 10 we're talking about? Can I put that on top 10?
I'm not going to say they're going to go nuts and get into the European places, but I do feel that they're going to have a season that is going to be pushing in and around the kind of Brighton and Wolves type season of this season, where they're kind of just tipping on to trying to get into the top half of the table. I just love the manager. I love the fight they've shown. I think the resilience of last season to take them from bottom place back into the playoffs and then win the playoffs as well, after just missing out on promotion. You know, they're a team that have been down and out when they were bottom, really depressed when they just missed out on automatic promotion, but then pick themselves up and get them back into the Premier League after that. I feel personally that Nottingham Forest will be the surprise team of this coming season. I really do.
Question on that, and you can spin it around to everyone. Who finishes higher, Forest or Leicester?
I go Forest.
Yeah, I'm going for Forest.
I'm going to go Leicester.
Lee?
It's a tough one. Like, you know, I think, as I said, I think Leicester are going to struggle this season, but I still think they come above Forest.
All right.
I just reckon that as Dan mentioned, the outgoings from Leicester are massive. And I think that the players that
they're cutting payroll. It's good. It's good.
But Finance FC. But I think that like they're talking about replacing James Maddison with Symeou and stuff. I'm just not sure that the characters and the risk of those types of signings are they're not nail on, you know, upgrades or even levelers with those players that are going out the door. So I could see a bit of a drop off from Leicester.
If they go with those kinds of moves, they are essentially following the path that Everton has just shown us as to how to take a mid-table team and turn them into a relegation team. So what else do we're here at the 11 o'clock hour. We're gonna chill for a couple more minutes until our 4 p.m. UK guest gets in here, and then we're gonna do a complete switch over of everybody in the panel other than myself. We're gonna bring in Jared, and then Clive will be here in just a minute. Lee, do you want to stay on to ask Clive if you could have his bread roll?
I could stay on for a little while longer. Yeah, let me see if I can
just to ask him if you can have his bread roll, because we want 100% Clive on here. But since you have that familiarity with him, and Dan, if I get the Sheffield United podcaster on, will you stay on to hit on his wife?
Was it Sheffield United? I can't remember. I thought they were lower league.
I think it was Sheffield United. Well, they were lower league. I thought it was a Sheffield United.
Oh, you might be right. You might be right.
But yeah, God, that was so funny.
She loved me. She loved me.
She did. And Lee loved the bread roll. We have raised a total. Let's get the new count going up. Oh, we have another donation. We are now $4,923 for this Podathon. We've got 5 hours left or so. I think we got like 7 hours left, but we're gonna get to 5,000. I know it. We're almost there now, and which means we will eclipse last year's total. It's been phenomenal.
Mike, what happens the following week after you do these? Do you just sleep for the rest of the week and just live on soup? What happens, man?
I'm going to need to. It's going to be. I just basically do this for a week straight. Then I have to slice and dice and turn this into 27 different segments and and do all that. But no, we are so close right now to the $5,000 mark. And we're going to do another prize draw because it is 11 a.m. Eastern time. So let me just quickly, while we wait for Clive, big
up Jake as well in the chat, by the way. Big up Jake.
Jake is in the chat. I'm probably feeling better than Jake is at the moment, which is an interesting dynamic. But something he didn't do when he was in London with me, he has now started doing. So let me see. Jane. Oh, okay. Hold on. I have to add, in the interest of fairness, I got to add the last donor to the randomizer and then pick a winner. But this is going to be a new Arsenal kit of your choice, non-personalized.
Signed by Lee Judges. Is that this one?
Well, yeah, I accidentally said that the legend signed kit when we were giving it away with Amy Lawrence. I said you can get it signed by your choice of Kevin Campbell, Perry Groves, Alan Smith, or Lee Judges. I meant to say Lee Dixon, but the winner has already chosen Lee Judges. So it's
Lee Judges is a much bigger celebrity. Sorry.
Thank you. I love you, Harry. I'm not having anything said about Harry no more. Dan, you're finished. I'm going on Harry's side.
Having anything said. What have you had said about him before?
We joke, but like in Orlando, Lee was a celebrity, man.
I didn't get my normal FaceTime with him because he was being mobbed.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
I was overwhelmed with the fact that when we were in the pub that I found out that you were on Cameo, and that's when I was like, "Fuck, this guy's big time."
40 pounds, 40 pounds, and I get it for free. All right,
no wonder you're up in hospitality. Fuck's sake.
Right. When I know Harry's got to go, but before when I was going on about Cameo and everything like that, when they was asking me to do it, I was no, I can't go on it and all that. Like, no one's gonna ask for me to be on that. Like, so but I've been pleasantly surprised.
Well, you know who else is pleasantly surprised is David Lieberman, who has been in the chat on and off the whole time, and he has now won a new Arsenal kit of his choice, home, away, third kit, your choice. David Lieberman, congratulations on winning the new kit.
What colours are you going to go for? I want to know what one he's going to go for.
Well, you can ask him because he's right here.
Come on, tell us which one you're going for.
Tell us which one you're going for.
Let's let Harry go because he's going to.
Yeah, guys. I've got a run for my train. I'll catch you all soon.
Harry.
Guys.
Laters, bro.
Bye.
And Dan, Aston, Owen, we're
gone for the black one. Gone for the black one.